Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. So, we are doing our Parenthood on Tour series at the moment, and I am sitting in sunny Greece giving you as many hot tips as I can about traveling with children. I had done a bit of a shout out to our community on Instagram and I got a whole heap of questions back. So, for those of you who haven't listened, I've already done an episode on what to pack when you travel, particularly international with kids, our experience on the plane traveling international, and this one is all about just travel tips in general. I've got a few more of the rogue random questions that I'd love to answer in this app. So, I will mention that these episodes are unedited, and I'm basically just here with my microphone looking out onto the Greek, I was going to say the Greek beach. Oh, and as I said, unedited, these episodes are. So, yeah, just really excited to be here and be able to give you, I guess, some of my intel in real time. So, let's get started. How did you deal with jet lag? Was one of our first questions. And I had a number of questions that came in about jet lag because let's be real, no one loves dealing with jet lag, and particularly being up in the middle of the night with your children when they've got jet lag is just another level of, horrendousness. So, how did we deal with it? We actually did pretty well on the jet lag front. I think our children, we had such a long journey to get here, 24-hour journey, then another 4-hour drive to get to our final destination in the Peloponnese in Greece, which where we are at the moment. That by the time they got there, it was actually by 7 o'clock, probably 6 o'clock at night. They had some dinner, they went to sleep. They woke up though at 6 in the morning, and that doesn't sound that bad. Actually, it's not that bad. We've traveled with our children when they were much smaller, and they woke up at all hours of the evening, and it was very stressful. So, what are the things we can do to prevent them from dealing with jet lag? When they were babies, one thing I did, particularly because we arrived at a destination, I think we were on one of the Greek islands, it was probably 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm thinking, I want these kids to go to bed at 7. We had a military style schedule at that point because we just left Masada Sleep School with my second after my first had also attended there, and I needed to maintain our routine. So 7 o'clock bedtime. We packed with us aluminium foil and blue tack, and actually blue tacked the aluminium foil to the windows, and it actually blacks out the room. It's amazing. And that really was a game changer for us in getting our children to bed when the sun wasn't going to go down till 9 o'clock in the evening, right? But we wanted them asleep hours before that. So that would be a huge recommendation. And also, just as much as possible, sticking to your original schedule of bedtime. So if you can, keeping the kids up until they need to get to bed, just really trying to be as diligent as possible. If that first day of travel is just too hard and it's just, then try the next day at least to go, okay, let's get back onto the schedule. Because what you'll find is the faster they can get back onto their usual sleep schedule, the sooner you'll be able to sleep through the night as well. So look, this time around, we didn't aluminium foil the windows. We didn't need to, but they were pretty good. The issue we had was that they kept waking up very early. 6 o'clock in Australia is not that early, but 6 o'clock in Greece, where usually kids don't go to bed till 10, 11 o'clock, and that's our kids, let alone the other kids, because everyone goes to bed super late, then they siesta from 2 till 5, depending, which means that essentially everyone kind of has a nap, and then they'll stay up till, most adults are staying up till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning or past that. 6 o'clock felt very early. So what we did to get them to sleep later into the morning was we kept them up later at night. That did not immediately work. So the first night we were like, cool, or the second night we were there, cool, we'll keep them up till 10. They woke up at 6. Next night, keep them up till 10:30. They woke up at 6. And I was literally like, I cannot deal with this. The third night, kept them up till 10:30, woke up at 6. But then it's almost like something clicked by the fourth or fifth night, kept them up till 10:30. And they woke up at 7, and then it was 7:30, and then it was just bizarre that they slowly were able to sleep later and later into the day. We were also very vigilant about keeping them super active so they were tired enough to go to sleep. So we often went to the beach multiple times, like twice a day. We'd go take them to a park. We made sure that they were sort of up and about. We tried to have them siesta, essentially that afternoon sleep, that didn't really help or make much of a difference. Sometimes it was too stressful to get them to siesta. So while everyone else was siestaing, they would watch a movie in their bed together or whatever. That was fine. But I guess you will find your new normal based on that, but don't expect it to happen overnight, because certainly with us it probably took, I'm going to say, 10 days. Now, we're here for nearly a month, so look, that doesn't sound too long in the whole scheme of things, but for those of you who are perhaps in places for shorter periods of time, 10 days might seem quite long. So as much as possible though, if you can maintain consistency with those bedtimes and tweak as needed, I think it would certainly help on that jet lag front. Someone else said, did you bring a travel cot? Any tips on how that could support sleep? So, interesting question. I'm just going to have a bit of my drink. Bear with me. Okay, so interesting question. So, I actually had, so Liv, my co-host on Real Talk, our Real Talk segment on the pod, we actually spoke about this in a previous episode on travel. When Liv's children were really little, I got married in Greece. Liv was my maid of honor, so she's in Greece, and they had their little one. That her eldest and my eldest are only a couple of months apart. So our boys were 6, 7 months old, probably a bit less. Yeah, depending on who you're talking about. But anyway, so they were in that age group. I brought a travel cot, Liv did not, right? The first accommodation that she attended was great. They had a little cot there, no problem, happy days. The second one went to, the accommodation, they had a really thick mattress, and Liv woke up in the middle of the night with her child sandwiched between the mattress and the cot bars. Essentially, she was fortunate that she'd woken up in time to be able to remove her child, who was squeezed between them because he'd rollen, like beyond the mattress and gotten caught between the bars, which completely freaked her out, completely understandably, because that could go horribly wrong. And from then on, her child slept in her bed with her for the rest of the trip because of her anxiety around, I don't trust the cots here. Now, for me, I had the Baby Beyond travel cot, very thin mattress, and it meant that my child was sleeping in the same cot every night. My child at the time had just finished Masada sleep school, and I was very vigilant on his sleep routine at the time. Having a familiar environment to go to sleep in, I believe, helped us and certainly appeased my anxiety when it came to sleep. So would I recommend a travel cot? Absolutely. Not everyone, will necessarily feel they need one, but it helped me. And Liv did say that after that experience, she wouldn't travel without one either. It is a bit of a hassle. It's heavy, like call it, might be, I don't know, 15, 20 kilos. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but I remember it was quite heavy to carry through airports. It has to go in the large luggage area. It's a whole situation, but at the end of the day, for your sleep and for your child's sleep, I believe it's worth taking. Another question that came through was, have you ever used an international nanny? How did you go with late nights? So that's actually a great question, because particularly in Greece, everyone takes their children with them, like everywhere. So you've got 1 o'clock in the morning, you're out at, I don't know, call it a Panegyri, which is like their, little village festivals, for example, and they're celebrating something. There are children everywhere, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning. They're either running around or they're sleeping on chairs, and the parents are dancing and having a great time. That is the culture. Now, I've really struggled with that. We had a wedding to attend a week ago, and we were bringing our children with us because that's what you do. I was freaking out because I'm like, I'm so used to my children being in bed by their scheduled time frame and someone looking after them. And when I leave, now it's an evening out with me and my husband, and I don't have to be a parent. That I was really worried that firstly, my children were going to be nagging me that they wanted to leave by the time they were exhausted, that they wouldn't be able to cope with staying up quite late. I was in the bridal party of this wedding, so I had to be there till, quite late as sort of a respect to the bride and groom. I couldn't exactly duck off at 10 o'clock at night to put my children to bed. And I was really nervous about it. So, and I kept saying to Jules, my husband, isn't it so annoying here? I would much prefer kids can go to the church and then we have a babysitter so that we can enjoy the reception, but it's just not really done like that here. So, however, to answer this person's question, have you used an international nanny? Yes. There was one wedding that we attended a few years back on one of the islands of Greece called Sifnos. It was that sort of wedding where we could leave our, most people were leaving their children with babysitters for the reception. And so we found someone recommended via our Airbnb, 16-year-old Greek kid. Turns out their family lived next door, so she lived next door with her parents and the yard and the babu and everyone, and we got to know the family a little bit as well ahead of the time in which she was going to babysit. And so it made me feel a little bit more comfortable leaving my children, who I'd already put into bed, but it was more that this little girl was going to be like minding them, I guess. She had my number, she had her parents next door. So, okay, it's not ideal, it's not perfect, but we'll give it a crack. And we had a number of events to go to for this wedding, and she babysat every other night that we had the events on. So I have used them before. Is it easy? Is it chill? No? I mean, it's never, I don't know. I always feel a little uneasy leaving my kids with someone that I don't know that well. But having said that, I thought, okay, I've gone through a reputable source. There are, 5-star Airbnb host. I don't think they could afford to recommend someone that wasn't trustworthy. For example, for our wedding, I mentioned that I got married in Greece. A number of people left their children with recommendations throughout the hotel in which we had our wedding at. Again, those friends were like, look, it's, recommendations from a reputable hotel. I don't think that they would recommend someone untrustworthy. So it is a gamble. Things happen. But for the sake of the situation and knowing that I actually just couldn't take my kids to the reception, and never an easy call, but we've done it before and we felt quite comfortable, particularly by night 2. We got to know the girl a little bit better, and we did it that way. The alternative is you bring your children with you, like we did for this more recent wedding. Our kids did pretty well. I worded them up a lot, and I said to them, look, we're going to be there till at least midnight. Now, if you need to sleep on the chair, you sleep on the chair. We even brought their aeroplane pillows and took them with us in our car to the wedding, just in case they wanted to fall asleep on the chair, and have like some padding around them. We were all sort of prepared for it, and they did do quite well. They did fall asleep on the chair, and by 1 o'clock in the morning, we left the wedding. Never an easy thing. And I think culturally there's people approach things differently in different countries, and your situation will be different too. But know that there are certainly other people out there who have had international nannies. Another one question that I had was, is any tips on the best duration of time to spend in each place that you're traveling in? And I think that's a great question, because often we think, okay, well, is like 2 nights enough? When we were traveling with our kids, we go from this place to this place to this place, no problem. Like 2-3 nights here, 2-3 nights there. We can see everything. With kids, it's a completely different story, right? I personally think, having traveled a bit with my children, particularly international, with all of the changes that happen, the jet lag, the food differences, all the things, what is the best period? I would say at least 4 nights. That's me, because they take night 1 to adjust. Night 2 and 3, we're kind of getting that. Night 4, and then by night 5, you're leaving. I feel as though that's enough time to at least fully relax. If you can stay for longer, even better. Because what I've found is it's the transition. It's the getting them on a boat to get to the next Greek island, or it's the in the car or in the aeroplane to get to the next country. That's the stressful part. It certainly has been for me. But when you're there and when you're finally set up, that part, you get them adjusted, and then you can sort of sink into holiday mode a little bit better. So, I mean, for us here, we're basically, my kids are staying in the same place for 3 weeks in Greece, just because that's the way we've set it up based on where my family is staying, and they're staying for a very long period of time at this one particular place in the south of Greece. So we're like, cool, we're just going to stay there. And Jules and I ducked away for a couple of nights, a couple of hours away to a beautiful kind of hotel resorty place, and had our little time together, which was very special, and very grateful for, because I know that not everyone has an opportunity to do something like that. But really, our kids stayed with my parents in the one spot for the most of the time. Why? Because I find it too stressful to move them around a lot. So if you are wanting to move around, I would probably suggest 4 to 5 nights, just to give yourself a little bit of a peace of mind. So that you're not stressing. I did touch on food there, and I did have someone say, I have a fussy eater. How did you go with the food in different countries? Now, I know the first week, really, my little one, Charlie, who's 4 years old, is a bit of a fussy eater, and would look at things and go, oh, the French fries have that yucky thing on it. I don't want it. like the oregano that they often put on it, or no, the milk tastes different, I don't want it, or the bread looks different, but and so we're like, okay, so we'd go to the supermarket and buy things that we knew he would eat. So we bought, spaghetti. He didn't want anything on it. He just wanted plain with oil. Okay, fine. You have that. Again, we were at a house, so we were able to cook. If you're not at a house, you're at a restaurant. It's just finding the one or two things that your kid is going to like, and we just didn't really overthink it. We're like, cool, if it's spaghetti for most of the trip, then I'm sorry, that's what it is. I'm not going to stress myself out about this. I'm trying to enjoy my holiday, spent a lot of money to be here, a lot of time out of our daily schedule to be here. We're going to make it what it is, and sometimes it's a bit of a survival mode technique. What we found though with our children was by week 2, they have adjusted. So now they love the fries, even though they have the oregano on them, or, they've grown a lot more accustomed to the flavors and things like that. So they are trying more and more. And as they try one thing, they become more confident to try another. We did have a whole heap of snacks that we brought from Australia that survived our time on the aeroplane. And so every now and then we'll give them a little snack that they're familiar with. We bought rice crackers from the local supermarket, put honey, peanut butter on that because that's what they like. I get a bit of Greek yogurt, bit of honey. They like that. We're finding that they're not even really eating as much anyway because it's so hot here. You know what it's like when it's hot, you're not really that hungry for like a heavy meal. So that's also helped as well. So I guess my tip on the fussy eater front would be stick to the things that they like and don't overthink it, and don't get guilty that perhaps they're not having all the vegetables you would like them to have or anything like that. It's just not worth it for a short period of time. Go to the supermarket and identify things that they may want to eat and stick with those, and maybe even take them out with you if you need to. And thirdly, just you might be surprised as how they may adjust moving forward. I feel as though I've covered off as many questions as I can from all of the ones that came through. So I will leave it there. For those of you who have enjoyed this episode or gotten something out of it, please feel free to rate and review us on the app that you are listening to us on. It helps us reach more people the more reviews that we do have. And if you aren't already, please follow us on Instagram. We are very active there. It's at Parenthood Pod. And I'll pop those details in the show notes. And I will catch you on the other side. Bye.